Hey guys, tonight we are traveling back to a world where the sun is a golden god, and your makeup kit is literally a matter of life, death, and spiritual protection. You probably believe that eyeliner was just for the queens or for a fancy night out at the pyramid, but in reality, if you did not have your dark lines on, you were basically walking around half-dressed. Imagine a world where your morning routine takes a very long time and involves grinding up stones you found in the desert. It is a bit different from your quick dash to the bathroom today, isn't it? In ancient Egypt, the smoky eye was not a fashion choice for a party. It was a daily shield against the harsh desert glare and the unseen spirits that liked to cause trouble. Everyone from the powerful pharaoh to the humble farmer spent their morning carefully painting their faces. It was a ritual of beauty, but it was also a ritual of survival. Before you get too comfortable and possibly fall asleep halfway through, tap like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this odd mix of boredom and history. It keeps the channel alive, and the stories just sleepy enough to help you drift off again next time. I would love to know where you are listening from tonight. Please post your location and your local time in the comments below. It is always nice to see how far these sleepy stories travel across the world. Now, dim the lights, let the world outside grow quiet, and turn on a fan if you like that soft, steady hum in the background. Let your shoulders loosen and your breathing slow. This is your time to drift. No rush, no deadlines, no noise. Just you, a little warmth in the air, and the faint whisper of history waiting to unfold. So, settle in and let's ease gently into tonight's journey together. The air in your room is cool, though you know the heat will soon arrive with the rising sun. You lie still for a moment on your bed, which is a simple frame made of wood with woven ropes supporting your weight. The linen sheets beneath you are thin and soft, worn smooth by many nights of rest. The walls of your home are made of thick mud bricks, painted a pale, dusty white that catches the very first light of the morning. It is a quiet time in Thebes. Outside, the city is just starting to wake up. But for now, the only sounds are the distant, muffled calls of birds near the river and the gentle rustle of your own movements as you sit up. Your feet find the floor, and the surface of the mud, brick tiles feels solid and slightly cold against your skin. This is the beginning of your ritual. You reach for a small, heavy jar made of dark stone. This is your most important possession for the morning. In this world, the eyes are the windows to the soul, but they are also very vulnerable to the environment. The sun in Egypt is not like the sun in other places. It is a powerful, heavy force that bounces off the yellow sand and the white limestone buildings, creating a glare that can make your head ache and your vision blur. To protect yourself, you need the dark minerals that have been traded from the mountains and the deep earth. You run your fingers over the smooth surface of an alabaster pot. It feels like silk under your touch. Inside this pot, you keep your raw materials. There are pieces of galena, a heavy, silvery, gray mineral that looks like it belongs in the stars, and perhaps a few chunks of bright green malachite. You probably think that only the wealthy people had access to these beautiful things, but in reality, almost everyone in Egypt wore some form of eye paint. It was a universal habit, as common as wearing shoes or eating bread. Historians still argue whether the green malachite was used mainly for its beauty and its connection to the goddess Hathor, or if it was primarily a functional tool to stop the sun from blinding the people who worked outside. You look at the small pile of minerals on your low wooden table and think about the journey they took to get here. The galena often came from the eastern desert, or even from across the sea, brought by traders who risked the heat and the dust to supply the cities with this precious ore. It is heavy in your hand, a small piece of the earth that you will soon transform into a veil for your eyes. The room starts to glow with a soft, orange light as the sun climbs higher. You can see the dust motes dancing in the air, moving slowly in the still atmosphere. You do not have a modern mirror, of course. Instead, you have a disc of highly polished bronze. It has a handle shaped like a papyrus plant, and when you pick it up, it feels heavy and solid. The reflection is not as clear as a glass mirror, but it gives your face a warm, golden tint. You look at your reflection and see a face that is currently plain and unprotected. You feel a bit exposed without your paint. It is a strange feeling, similar to how a modern person might feel if they forgot to put on their watch or their favorite pair of shoes. In your mind, your eyes are not just for seeing. They are powerful symbols that need to be defined and strengthened. You take a small stone palette. It is flat and smooth, carved into the shape of a fish, which is a symbol of new life and fertility. The stone is a dark gray schist, and it has a small hollow in the middle where you can work. You place a piece of the silvery galena in the center of the palette. Now comes the part of the morning that requires patience. You take a small grinding stone, rounded and easy to grip, and you begin to apply pressure. The sound of stone rubbing against stone is a low, rhythmic grinding that fills the small room. It is not a loud noise, but a steady, grounding one that helps you wake up fully. You are not in a rush. The morning is a time for slow, deliberate actions. As you grind the mineral, it breaks down into a fine, shimmering dust. This dust is the base of your Kohl. It is fascinating to think that this dark powder contains lead. While we usually think of lead as something dangerous today, the people of your time have a different perspective. A quirky and somewhat surprising fact is that the lead-based minerals in your eye paint actually help to produce nitric oxide when they touch your skin. This chemical helps your immune system fight off the bacteria that thrive in the warm, damp corners of the eyes. In a way, your makeup is a medicine. It helps to prevent the painful eye infections that are so common in the dusty, fly-filled air of the river valley. You are not just painting for style, you are building a chemical barrier against disease. You take a deep breath, smelling the faint, earthy scent of the crushed stone. You think about the people who are waking up in the grand villas closer to the palace. They have servants to do this grinding for them. They have palettes made of exotic materials like ivory or gold. Their jars are filled with the finest, most expensive oils from the Land of Punt. But the process is the same. The rhythm of the morning is a shared experience across all levels of society. Even the children have their eyes painted by their mothers. It is a gesture of care and protection. You feel a sense of connection to everyone else in the city, who is currently sitting at their own small tables, grinding their own minerals, and preparing for the day ahead. The powder on your palette is now very fine, like the soot from a lamp, but with a metallic shimmer that catches the morning light. It looks like liquid moonlight, captured in a solid form. You use a small, thin stick made of wood to push the powder into a neat little pile. Your hands are steady. You have done this thousands of times, and the movement is saved in your muscles. You find yourself smiling slightly at the thought of someone trying to do this for the first time. They would likely end up with gray dust all over their fingers and their linen tunic. It is a skill that is learned early and practiced every single day of your life. The heat is starting to grow now, just a little. You can feel the temperature rising outside the thick walls. A soft breeze carries the scent of the Nile, a mix of wet earth, green reeds, and the faint smoke of cooking fires where bread is being baked for breakfast. You aren't quite ready for breakfast yet. The ritual of the eyes comes first. It is the most important part of getting ready because it sets your intention for the day. It tells the world and the gods that you are a person of order and cleanliness. In your culture, there is a concept called ma'at, which represents balance, truth, and harmony. Keeping yourself clean and well presented is a way of honoring that balance. A messy face is a sign of a messy spirit, and you have no intention of letting your spirit become disorganized. You look at the green malachite sitting next to your palette. Some days, you prefer the green. It is the color of the lush fields after the flood, the color of life and growth. It feels cooling to the eyes. But today, you feel like the dark strength of the galena is more appropriate. The dark gray Kohl is the color of the shadows that provide relief from the sun. It is the color of the deep, fertile mud that the river leaves behind. You decide to stick with the galena for now, perhaps saving the green for a special festival later in the week. There is a certain irony in the fact that you spend so much time making yourself look dark and dramatic just to go out and work in the bright light. You could call it a bit of a contradiction, though no one in your neighborhood would agree. To them, the darkness around the eyes makes the white of the eyes look brighter and clearer. It creates a contrast that is considered the height of beauty. You take a small drop of oil from another jar. This oil is clear and has a very faint, sweet smell, like crushed flowers. You add it to the powder on your palette. The texture changes instantly. What was a dry, flying dust becomes a smooth, thick paste. It looks like cream, but it is the color of the midnight sky. You use your little wooden stick to mix it, swirling the oil and the mineral together until the consistency is perfect. It should not be too runny, or it will drip down your face in the heat. It should not be too dry, or it will flake off and get into your eyes. It needs to be just right. A glossy, rich ointment that will stay in place from sunrise until the stars come out. As you mix, you think about the stories you have heard about the gods. They say that the god Horus lost his eye in a great battle, and that it was restored to him by the god Thoth. The eye of Horus is a symbol of healing and protection that you see everywhere, carved into amulets, painted on the sides of boats, and even tattooed on skin. When you paint your eyes, you are making a small, personal version of that divine protection. You are invoking the strength of Horus to help you see clearly, both physically and spiritually. It is a comforting thought. In a world that can be unpredictable, having a ritual that connects you to the eternal gods makes everything feel a little more stable. You pick up your bronze mirror again and hold it closer to your face. The light is much stronger now, and you can see the details of your features. You have a few small lines around your eyes from laughing or squinting at the sun, and your skin is the color of warm honey. You take the wooden applicator, which is smooth and tapered to a fine point. You dip the tip into the dark paste on your palette. Your hand is very close to your face now, and you can feel the warmth of your own breath. This is the moment of focus. Everything else falls away. The sounds of the city, the heat of the morning, the tasks you have to do later. There is only the line. You start at the inner corner of your eye, near the bridge of your nose. The paste feels cool and wet against your skin. You draw the stick slowly along the edge of your eyelid, right at the base of your lashes. The line is thick and bold. You don't just stop at the corner of your eye, you extend the line outward, toward your temple. This long, flicked outline is the classic look of your people. It mimics the shape of a falcon's eye, the bird of Horus. It makes your eyes look larger, more alert and more powerful. You do the same for the bottom lid, creating a dark frame that completely encircles your eye. When you finish the first eye, you pause to look at the difference. One eye is bright and defined, looking out at the world with confidence. The other eye looks small and unfinished in comparison. It is amazing how much a little bit of crushed stone and oil can change how you feel about yourself. You feel more awake, more ready to face whatever the day might bring. You repeat the process on the second eye, careful to make the lines match. It is a bit like a dance. The movement of your hand must be fluid and sure. If you hesitate, the line will be shaky. You take a step back, or at least as much of a step back as you can in your small room, and look at the final result in the mirror. The dark lines are sharp and clean. They catch the light with a subtle, metallic sheen. You look like yourself again. The ritual is almost complete. You take a piece of soft linen and wipe the excess paste from your palette and your grinding stone. You are careful not to waste any. The minerals are too precious to be thrown away. You close the lids of your small jars, making sure they are tight so the oils don't dry out in the heat. The sun is now fully above the horizon, and the city is loud with the sounds of life. You can hear the shouting of vendors in the market, the braying of donkeys, and the rhythmic sound of hammers from a nearby workshop. Your room is no longer a quiet sanctuary. It is a part of a busy, vibrant world. You feel a sense of peace. You have taken the time to care for yourself, to protect your sight, and to honor the traditions of your ancestors. You are ready to step out of the shadows of your home and into the golden light of the Egyptian day. You look down at your hands. There is a small smudge of gray dust on your thumb. You rub it into your skin rather than washing it off. It is a reminder of the work you did this morning. The powder is fine and soft, and it disappears into your skin, leaving just a hint of a shimmer. You pick up your walking stick and head toward the door. The transition from the cool interior to the warm exterior is sudden, but it feels good. The air is dry and smells of the desert. You squint for a second, but the dark lines around your eyes do their job. The glare is manageable. You walk with a sense of purpose, your eyes framed in the dark, protective mask that has been the mark of your people for thousands of years. As you walk, you think about how this simple act of painting your eyes connects you to the earth the gods, and everyone around you. It is a small thing, perhaps, but it is a thing that makes you feel whole. The morning light has moved across the floor of your room, and you are now fully immersed in the slow, rhythmic labor of preparing your pigments. You are sitting on a woven reed mat, your legs crossed comfortably, as you focus your attention on the small stone palette in front of you. This is not a task that can be hurried. It is a meditative process, a bridge between the raw materials of the earth and the refined beauty of your ritual. You pick up a piece of malachite, a mineral that is as vibrant and green as the marshes of the delta. It is a heavy, cold stone, and when you hold it up to the light, you can see the intricate bands of darker and lighter green swirling through it, like the ripples on the surface of the Nile. This malachite has traveled a long way to reach your hands. It likely came from the mines of the Sinai Peninsula, where miners worked in the intense heat to extract these green treasures from the rocky earth. You think about the immense effort required to bring a single piece of stone from the distant mountains to your small home in the city. It makes you handle the mineral with a sense of respect. You place the green stone on your palette, which is carved from a piece of dark, smooth siltstone. The contrast between the bright green of the malachite and the deep gray of the palette is beautiful, even before you begin the work of breaking it down. You take your mullah, a small, rounded stone that fits perfectly into the palm of your hand. It has been worn smooth by years of use, and its surface is slightly stained with the colors of 1,000 mornings. You begin to press the mullah down onto the malachite. The sound of the first crack is a solid, muffled snap that vibrates through the palette and into your wrists. It is the original gym membership, except instead of a treadmill, you get a rock and some very sore shoulders. You apply a steady, circular pressure, listening to the dry, crunchy sound of the mineral being reduced to smaller and smaller fragments. It is a satisfying sound, a low hum of friction that tells you the stone is yielding to your will. As the malachite breaks apart, it releases a faint, dusty scent that reminds you of rain hitting dry earth. The large chunks become pebbles, then coarse sand, and finally a powder so fine that it begins to coat the surface of your palette in a layer of brilliant emerald. You have to be careful not to breathe too deeply. The fine dust is light enough to float on the smallest current of air. You watch as the color changes. When the malachite was a solid stone, it was dark and deep, but as a fine powder, it becomes a bright, luminous green that seems to glow from within. It is the color of new growth, the color of the fields after the great flood has receded and the first sprouts of grain appear. Historians still argue whether the elaborate shapes of these palettes, often carved like turtles or birds, were purely artistic choices, or if they served a ritualistic purpose in transforming the raw mineral into a magical substance. To you, the shape of the palette is a part of the story. Your fish-shaped palette represents life and abundance. As you grind the green powder, you feel as though you are tapping into that life force. A mainstream historical fact is that malachite was the primary eye paint used in the early dynastic period, long before the dark gray Kohl became the dominant fashion. It was valued not just for its color, but for its association with the goddess Hathor, the Lady of Malachite, who presided over beauty, love, and joy. By now, your arm is starting to feel a slight ache from the repetitive motion. If you think your coffee grinder is loud on a Monday morning, imagine doing this by hand for 30 minutes just to look decent. You shift your weight, finding a more comfortable position, and continue the grind. You are aiming for a texture that is as smooth as silk. If the powder is too coarse, it will irritate your eyes and feel like tiny grains of sand scratching against your skin. You use a small bird feather to sweep the powder back into the center of the palette, keeping it concentrated under the molar. The movement of the feather is silent and graceful, a soft contrast to the heavy work of the stone. Next, you turn your attention to the galena. This is the heavy, metallic ore that will provide the deep, dark gray of your coal. It is much heavier than the malachite, and it has a shimmering, crystalline structure that looks like frozen smoke. You place a piece of it on the palette, and the grinding begins anew. The sound is different this time, a deeper, more metallic rasp. The galena is stubborn, resisting the muller at first, but slowly it begins to crumble. It does not turn green, it turns into a dark, shimmering gray that catches every stray beam of light in the room. This is the color of protection. This is the shade that will guard your eyes from the sun's fury. A quirky and somewhat fringed tidbit is that some ancient texts suggest the green paint was specifically meant to evoke the field of reeds, the Egyptian version of paradise. By wearing the color of heaven on your face, you were essentially inviting the peace of the afterlife into your daily existence. It is a lovely thought to have while you are doing the manual labor of crushing rocks. You feel the grit of the powder between your fingers as you test the consistency. It is almost there. The galena powder is so fine, now that it feels almost like a liquid when you move it with the feather. It clings to the stone, a dark shadow that you have created with your own strength. You've spent so much time grinding that you're basically 10% mineral by now. You're practically a walking statue. You laugh softly to yourself, the sound lost in the quiet of the room. Your fingers are stained with a mixture of green and gray, a temporary mark of your morning's work. You look at the two piles of powder on your palette, the vibrant, life-giving green and the deep, protective gray. They represent the balance of your world. The green of the earth and the dark shadows that provide relief from the heat. You are nearly ready to move on to the next stage, but you take a moment to simply appreciate the sight of the raw pigments. The dust in the air has settled, coating the edges of your table in a fine, glittering mist. You think about the millions of people who have performed this same action over the centuries. This rhythmic grinding is a heartbeat that has pulsed through the history of your land. From the smallest village to the grandest temple, the sound of stone on stone is a constant. It is a slow, steady labor that demands presence and patience. You cannot rush the stone. You must wait for it to surrender its form and become something new. The sun is higher now, and you can hear the city waking up more fully. The muffled sounds of the street, the calls of water sellers, the distant chatter of neighbors, filter through the thick walls. But here, in your small circle of ritual, there is only the palette and the powder. You use a small, curved spatula made of bone to carefully scrape the powders into separate little heaps. You are careful not to let them mix yet. Each color has its own purpose, its own spirit. The green will be applied first, perhaps as a wide band of cooling color, followed by the sharp, defining line of the black coal. You look at the muller in your hand. It is warm from the friction and the heat of your palm. You set it down gently on the mat. The grinding is finished. The physical labor is done. And now comes the more delicate work of blending and application. You feel a sense of accomplishment. These powders are the result of your time and effort. They are not just products you bought. They are something you helped to create from the very bones of the earth. The transition from stone to powder is a small miracle of transformation that you witness every morning. You take a deep breath, feeling the stillness of the room. The air is warm, but the mud walls keep the worst of the heat at bay. You are surrounded by the tools of your life: the pottery jars, the linen cloths, the bronze mirror. They are simple things, but they are imbued with meaning by the rituals you perform with them. The grinding of the stone is a way of grounding yourself, of connecting to the physical world before you engage with the social and spiritual worlds of the day. It is a slow, deliberate start to a life that can often be busy and demanding. As you look at the piles of pigment, you think about the chemistry of what you have done. By breaking the minerals into such fine particles, you have increased their surface area, making them more reactive and easier to blend with the oils and fats that will turn them into paint. You didn't need a laboratory to understand this. You learned it from your mother, who learned it from hers. It is a practical knowledge passed down through generations, a science of beauty that is as effective as it is ancient. The powders shimmer on the dark stone of the palette, waiting for the next step. The green malachite seems to pulse with a soft light. It is a color that feels cooling just to look at. In the intense glare of the Egyptian afternoon, this green paint will provide a visual relief, a small oasis of color in a landscape of yellow and white. The black galena, on the other hand, is a void, a dark line that will absorb the sun's rays and prevent them from bouncing into your eyes. It is a functional beauty, a design that serves a vital purpose. You feel a sense of pride in your knowledge of these materials, in your ability to harness the properties of the earth for your own well-being. You reach for a small piece of linen to wipe your hands. The fabric is rough and cool, and it easily lifts the loose dust from your skin. You are careful not to wipe away the stains on your fingers entirely. There is something satisfying about the lingering color. It shows that you have been working, that you have been a part of the creation of your own appearance. You look at the palette one last time, making sure the piles of powder are neat and contained. There is a sense of order in the small heaps of mineral, a reflection of the art you strive to maintain in your life. The rhythm of the grinding has left you feeling calm and focused. The repetitive motion has a way of quieting the mind, of pushing away the worries of the day. You are not thinking about the taxes you owe or the repairs your roof needs. You are only thinking about the powder and the stone. This is the gift of the ritual. It creates a space of peace in the middle of a busy world. It allows you to be fully present in the moment, to appreciate the texture of the mineral and the weight of the tool. You think about the miners in the desert again. Their lives are hard, spent in the pursuit of these stones. You wonder if they ever see the final result of their labor, if they ever see the beautiful lines of Kohl on a person's face in the city. You hope they do. You hope they know that the stones they pull from the earth are used for something more than just decoration. They are used for protection, for healing, and for the honoring of the gods. The journey of the stone from the dark mine to the bright city is a long one, but it ends here, on your pallet, in the service of your daily life. The transition from the grinding to the mixing is a natural shift in focus. You have prepared the base, and now you must add the life, the oils and the fats that will turn the dry dust into a supple, wearable cream. You look at your jars of oil, wondering which one to choose today. Each oil has its own scent and its own properties. Some are thick and heavy, while others are light and fragrant. The choice you make will affect how the paint feels on your skin and how long it will last in the heat. But for now, you just sit for a moment, enjoying the sight of your work. The piles of green and gray are like miniature mountains on your palette, small echoes of the landscapes from which they came. You feel a deep connection to the land, a sense of belonging to a place that provides everything you need if you are willing to work for it. The minerals, the oils, the stones, they are all gifts from the gods, and your ritual is a way of saying thank you. You are ready to continue, to blend these elements together and create the mask that will define you for the day. The silence of the room is heavy and sweet. You can hear your own breathing, slow and steady. The world outside is growing louder, but it feels far away. You are in your own time, a time that is measured by the movement of the mullah and the thickness of the powder. This is the luxury of the morning ritual, the ability to take as much time as you need to do things right. You don't have to rush to a job or worry about a clock. You only have to worry about the quality of your coal. You pick up a small, thin stick of wood, using it to gently stir the piles of powder. You are checking for any remaining lumps, any tiny fragments of stone that escaped the mullah. The powder is perfect, uniform and soft. You feel a small smile touch your lips. It is a good batch. The malachite is particularly bright today, and the galena has a deep, rich shimmer. You are satisfied. The grinding is over, and the powders are ready to become more than just crushed stone. They are ready to become your shield and your beauty. You look at your hands again, noting the way the light catches the metallic dust on your skin. You are a creator, a transformer of elements. You have taken the hard, unyielding stone and turned it into something soft and useful. It is a powerful feeling, a reminder of your own agency in the world. You are not just a passive observer of life, you are an active participant, shaping your own experience through the rituals you choose to keep. The green and gray powders are a testament to your skill and your dedication to the traditions of your people. As you prepare to reach for the oils, you take one last moment of stillness. The morning is moving forward, and soon you will be a part of the bustle of the city. But for now, you are here, in the quiet, with your palette and your powders. The rhythm of the grinding still echoes in your mind, a steady beat that will carry you through the day. You are ready for the next step, ready to blend the dry with the wet, the hard with the soft, and to complete the transformation of the earth into the divine mask of your eyes. The powder is so fine that when you blow gently on the palette, a tiny cloud of green and gray rises into the air, dancing in the sunlight before vanishing. It is almost weightless now. You think about how strange it is that something so heavy and solid as a rock can become something so ethereal. It is a reminder of the hidden potential in all things, the way that even the most stubborn materials can be changed with enough time and effort. You feel a sense of harmony with the world around you, a feeling of being in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. The morning ritual continues, and you move with a grace that comes from a lifetime of practice. You are a part of a long line of people who have done exactly this, a chain of tradition that stretches back to the very beginning of your civilization. The grinding of the stone is a link in that chain, a simple act that connects you to your ancestors and to those who will come after you. It is a timeless task, as eternal as the river and the sun. And as you prepare to mix your pigments, you carry that sense of eternity with you, a quiet strength that will sustain you through all the hours of the day. The fine, shimmering powders of green and gray sit patiently on your stone palette, looking like tiny piles of desert sand under the growing morning light. Now, the ritual moves from the dry, dusty work of the earth to the smooth, flowing world of liquids and fats. You reach for a collection of small jars sitting at the edge of your table. These jars are much smaller than the water pots in your kitchen, and they are made with much more care. One is carved from a single piece of milky, white calcite, its surface so thin in some places that you can almost see the shadow of the oil moving inside. Another is a simple ceramic pot, unglazed and warm to the touch, holding the heavier fats that provide the substance for your paint. You pick up the calcite jar first, feeling its cool weight in your palm. Inside this jar is castor oil, a staple of every Egyptian home. It is a thick, golden liquid that smells slightly nutty and earthy. You know that this oil comes from the seeds of the castor plant, which grows tall and wild along the edges of the irrigation canals. You can picture the large, fan-like leaves of the plant swaying in the breeze near the river, providing shade for the frogs and the small birds. Historians still argue whether the addition of complex aromatics like frankincense was for spiritual purity or simply to mask the smell of animal fat that might have spent a bit too much time in the 100-degree heat. You, however, are not thinking about the smell. You are thinking about how the oil will feel on your skin. It is smooth and soothing, and it helps the mineral powder glide across your eyelids without pulling or scratching. You take a small bone spoon, no longer than your finger, and dip it into the oil. You only need a tiny amount. A single drop hangs from the end of the spoon, glistening like a jewel. You watch it fall onto the pile of dark galena powder. For a moment, the drop sits on top of the dust, maintaining its round shape. Then, slowly, the powder begins to absorb the liquid. You use your mixing stick to blend them together. This is a very satisfying part of the morning. You are watching a chemical transformation happen right before your eyes. The dry, dull powder turns into a rich, glossy cream. It looks like liquid obsidian, reflecting the orange light of the sun as it spills through your window. If you think your favorite moisturizer is expensive, just imagine the cost of high-quality Balanos oil brought all the way from the desert trees. It was the luxury brand of its time, and having a jar of it on your table was a quiet way of showing you had a little extra coin in your linen pouch. You continue to stir the mixture, making sure there are no clumps of powder left. The texture needs to be perfect. If it is too thin, it will run down your face the moment you step out into the humidity of the riverbank. If it is too thick, it will feel like you have pasted heavy mud to your eyes, and it will crack as you blink. You are aiming for the consistency of honey, thick enough to stay in place, but smooth enough to move with your skin. A mainstream historical fact is that the Egyptians often used animal fats, such as goose fat or ox tallow, as a base for their kohl when vegetable oils were not available. These fats were very effective at keeping the makeup waterproof. In a land where you are constantly sweating or splashing water on your face to stay cool, having waterproof makeup was not a luxury. It was a necessity. You decide to add a tiny bit of animal fat to your mixture today. You reach for the ceramic pot and scoop out a small amount of white, firm fat. It melts instantly as you rub it into the galena on your palette, the warmth of the friction turning it into a supple grease. You might think using goose fat on your face sounds a bit like getting ready for a Sunday roast, but it actually keeps your skin very soft in the drying desert air. As you mix, you consider adding a scent to your kohl. You have a very small, precious vial of frankincense resin that has been dissolved in oil. This resin comes from the tears of trees in the distant land of Punt, brought to Egypt by great ships that travel down the Red Sea. The scent is deep, woody, and slightly spicy. It is the smell of the temples, the smell of the gods. When you add a tiny drop of this fragrance to your paint, you are not just making yourself smell nice. You are surrounding your eyes with a sacred atmosphere. It is said that the gods love pleasant smells, and by wearing this scent, you are making yourself more pleasing to the divine powers that watch over you. A quirky and somewhat fringe tidbit is that some people believed adding a bit of burnt almond to the mix would help strengthen the vision and keep away the evil eye of jealous neighbors. You have a few charred almonds ready, and you crush one into the mix, adding a deeper charcoal-like darkness to the gray galena. The smell of the burnt nut mixes with the frankincense, creating a complex aroma that is uniquely yours. Your morning ritual is a bit like being a chef, but instead of making a meal, you are preparing a mask of protection and beauty. You feel a sense of pride in your recipe. Everyone has their own secret way of mixing their kohl, and yours has been perfected over years of experimentation. The process of blending is slow and rhythmic. You move the mixing stick in small circles, feeling the resistance of the paste. The air in the room is getting warmer, and the scent of the oils is becoming more intense. It is a comforting, familiar smell that signals the start of your day. You find yourself leaning closer to the palette, your eyes focused on the swirling patterns of black and gold, the world outside, the noise of the market, the dust of the street, the endless work of the fields, feels very far away. Here, in this small patch of light, there is only the oil and the stone. You think about the people who work in the great green, the Mediterranean Sea, and how they must use the thickest fats to keep the salt spray from stinging their eyes. You think about the soldiers on the borders, who probably use the simplest, roughest mixtures just to stop the sun from blinding them during their watch. Your mixture is more refined, a balance of function and pleasure. You take a moment to test the texture on the back of your hand. You smear a tiny bit of the dark paste across your skin. It feels cool and silky, and it leaves a bold, solid mark that doesn't smudge when you run your finger over it. Perfect. You turn your attention to the green malachite powder. This requires a slightly different touch. The green pigment is more delicate than the gray galena. You decide to use a lighter oil for this one. Almond oil, which is clear and has a very soft, sweet scent. You add the drops of oil carefully, watching as the pale green dust turns into a vibrant, grassy paste. This green paint is often applied above the eye, or sometimes as a wide circle that covers the entire eye socket. It is meant to represent the lushness of the afterlife, the field of reeds, where the sun never sets and the water is always cool. Wearing this color is like wearing a piece of paradise on your face. Historians still argue whether the green paint was used more for its medicinal properties or its symbolic meaning. But to you, the two things are the same. A healthy body is a beautiful body, and a protected soul is a happy one. The malachite contains copper, which helps to kill the bacteria that can cause eye infections in the dusty air. As you blend the oil into the green powder, you are literally creating a medicine. You think about how lucky you are to have access to these materials. Even the simplest ingredients, like a bit of oil and a crushed stone, can provide so much security and comfort. You finish mixing the green paste and place the mixing stick down on the mat. Your palette now holds two rich, creamy substances, a deep, shimmering black and a bright, cooling green. They look beautiful sitting next to each other, like the earth and the sky or the river and the desert. You feel a deep sense of satisfaction. The preparation is complete. You have taken raw, hard minerals and transformed them into soft, wearable art. Your hands are a bit greasy and stained, but you don't mind. This is the mark of someone who takes care of themselves. You take a small piece of linen and wipe the mixing stick clean, being careful not to waste a single smear of the precious paint. You look at the jars of oil and fat, now closed tightly to keep out the dust and the flies. These small containers hold the secrets of your beauty and your health. You put them back in their places, lining them up neatly on the table. Order is important. In a world that can be chaotic, these small acts of organization provide a sense of control and calm. The sunlight is now hitting the palette directly, making the colors look even more intense. The black galena sparkles with tiny points of light, and the green malachite looks like it is made of liquid emeralds. You feel a wave of sleepiness wash over you, despite it being the morning. The slow, repetitive actions of grinding and mixing have a way of relaxing the body. Even when you are preparing for a long day of work, you take a slow, deep breath, filling your lungs with the scent of frankincense and almond oil. It is a peaceful moment, a pause before the next stage of the ritual begins. You probably think that after all this work, you would be tired of the process, but in reality, it is the most relaxing part of your day. There are no decisions to make here, only the steady following of a tradition that has worked for thousands of years. You are not just a person putting on makeup. You are a link in a chain of humans who have all sat in the morning light, mixing oil and stone. It is a thought that makes you feel connected to something much larger than yourself. It makes your small home feel like a part of the vast, eternal history of the land. You look at your reflection in the bronze mirror again. You haven't applied the paint yet, but you already feel different. The preparation of the Kohl has prepared your mind as well. You are focused, calm, and ready. You pick up the wooden applicator, its tip smooth, and ready to be dipped into the dark paste. You take a moment to appreciate the silence of the room. Soon, you will be out in the world, talking to people, working, and moving through the heat. But for now, you are in this quiet, scented space, surrounded by the beautiful things you have made. The transition from mixing to applying is a shift from the hands to the eyes. It requires a different kind of focus, a steady hand and a clear vision. You look at the black paste, its surface as smooth as a still pond. You imagine the lines you will draw, the way they will frame your eyes and change your expression. You think about the gods who will see you and the people who will look you in the eye today. You want to present a face that is strong, balanced, and protected. You lean forward, bringing your face closer to the mirror. The light catches the gold of the bronze, reflecting a warm glow onto your skin. You can see the tiny details of your face, the curve of your brow, the shape of your lashes. You are ready to begin the final transformation. You dip the applicator into the black coal, feeling the slight weight of the paste as it clings to the wood. The scent of the frankincense is stronger now that it is so close to your nose. It is a powerful, grounding smell that helps you stay still. You remember your mother teaching you how to do this when you were just a child. She told you that the lines must be firm and sure, like the path of the sun across the sky. She taught you how to mix the oils so that they wouldn't sting your eyes, and how to use the fat to make the color stay through the hottest part of the afternoon. These lessons are a part of you now, as much as the shape of your hands or the sound of your voice. You are carrying her wisdom with you as you prepare to paint your own face. The world outside is fully awake now. You can hear the rhythmic sound of someone washing clothes in the river, the distant splash of water, and the muffled thud of fabric against stone. You can hear the laughter of children playing in the street, their voices high and clear in the morning air. But in here, the only sound is the soft rustle of your linen tunic and the steady beat of your own heart. You are in your own world, a world of scent, color, and tradition. You take a deep breath and hold it for a second, steadying your hand. The first stroke is always the most important. Once the mark is made, the rest of the ritual follows naturally. You look into your own eyes in the mirror, seeing the person you are and the person you are about to become. The kohl is more than just a decoration. It is a mask that allows you to face the world with confidence. It is a shield that protects you from the sun and the spirits. It is a prayer in physical form. As you prepare to make that first stroke, you feel a sense of peace. The morning is yours. The ritual is yours. You have the time, you have the materials, and you have the knowledge. You are ready to step into the role that your ancestors have played for generations. You are ready to be a part of the story of Egypt, written in the dark lines of Kohl and the vibrant green of malachite. You are ready to begin. The paste on the palette seems to beckon you, its dark surface shimmering with promise. You think about how strange it is that something so simple as a bit of oil and stone can be so significant. But that is the nature of ritual. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. It gives meaning to the mundane tasks of daily life. And as you lift the applicator to your eye, you feel the weight of that meaning, a soft and comforting pressure that tells you that everything is as it should be. You are not in a rush. The city can wait. The sun will continue its climb regardless of how long you take. For now, there is only this: the cool touch of the oil, the scent of the desert, and the steady, sure movement of your hand. You are at home in this ritual, a ritual that is as ancient as the pyramids and as fresh as the morning dew. You are ready to create the perfect line, the divine frame for the windows of your soul. You pick up the applicator stick, which is a slender, elegant tool carved from a piece of dark ebony. It is smooth from years of being handled, and the wood feels warm and light in your fingers. The tip is slightly rounded, designed to hold just the right amount of the dark paste you have so carefully prepared. You find yourself holding your breath for a second, savoring the stillness of the room. The scent of the almond oil and the frankincense is very close now, a fragrant cloud that seems to focus your mind. This is the moment where your preparation meets your skin, where the minerals of the earth become a part of your own face. You dip the tip of the ebony stick into the dark, glossy pool of galena paste on your palette. It makes no sound as it sinks into the mixture, coming away coated in a perfect, shimmering layer of midnight gray. Your reflection in the bronze mirror is your only companion in this quiet task. The mirror is a bit heavy, its polished surface catching the golden light and throwing it back onto your cheeks. You lean in, bringing the applicator toward your lower eyelid. The first touch is a tiny shock of coolness. The paste is wet and smooth, a stark contrast to the dry heat that is already beginning to seep through the walls of your home. You move the stick with a slow, steady hand, drawing it along the very edge of your lashes. It requires the kind of focus that makes the rest of the world disappear. If your hand shakes even a little, the line will be ruined, and you will have to start the whole process over again. You might find that your hand is steadier than usual, perhaps because you are not rushed. You don't have a morning commute or a train to catch. You only have the movement of the sun and the rhythm of your own breathing. A mainstream historical fact is that these Kohl sticks, or probes, were often made from various materials depending on a person's status, ranging from simple wood and bone to expensive ivory or even solid bronze. Your ebony stick is a prized possession, its dark color matching the very pigment it carries. You continue the line on your lower lid, moving from the inner corner toward the outer edge. The sensation is strangely soothing. It feels like a protective weight, a physical barrier being built around the most sensitive part of your face. You think about the day ahead, the dust, the wind, and the relentless glare of the sun. And you feel a sense of relief, knowing that your eyes will be shielded. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen you heard about from the travelers in the market. Your eye paint is a far more pleasant way to protect your skin than that particular desert remedy. You wouldn't want to mix those two rituals up on a Monday morning. As you finish the line on the lower lid, you pause to look at the effect. The dark frame immediately makes the white of your eye look brighter, like a pearl set in a dark velvet box. It gives your face a look of alertness and strength. Now, you prepare for the upper lid. This part is slightly more difficult, as you have to navigate the curve of the eyeball and the flutter of your own lashes. You dip the stick again, ensuring it is perfectly coated. You tilt your head back slightly, looking down into the mirror. This time, you start the line a little bit further out, creating a thick, bold stroke that follows the natural shape of your brow. The paste glides on like silk. It is a testament to your mixing skills. The balance of oil and fat is just right, allowing the pigment to flow without dripping. A quirky and somewhat fringe tidbit is that the thick application of lead-based Kohl may have acted as more than just a chemical shield. Some believe it was a physical barrier designed to keep desert flies from landing on the moist corners of the eyes. The sticky, dark paste would be quite unappealing to a fly looking for a place to rest. You can almost imagine the frustration of a tiny insect trying to find a spot on your face, only to be deterred by the heavy, scented mask of your Kohl. It is a practical benefit that makes the long ritual feel even more worthwhile. In the river valley, where the water brings life but also insects, any bit of extra protection is a blessing. You feel a small sense of victory over the small annoyances of the natural world. Now comes the most iconic part of the ritual, the flick. You extend the line from the outer corner of your eye, drawing it upward and outward toward your temple. This is the mark of the falcon, the eye of Horus. It is a shape that carries immense power in your culture, representing health, royalty, and protection. Historians still argue whether the extreme length of the eyeliner flick was a sign of social rank or simply a personal preference for dramatic flair. Some suggest that the longer the line, the higher the status, while others think it was purely a matter of regional fashion. For you, it is a bit of both. You want to look your best, but you also want to feel the weight of that ancient protection. You draw the line with a single, confident stroke. It is sharp and clean, cutting across your skin like a shadow. The struggle for symmetry is the original human tragedy, and it didn't start with modern beauty trends. You look at your finished eye, and then at the one that is still bare. You have to repeat the entire process, trying to make the second eye a perfect mirror image of the first. You pick up the applicator again, your hand feeling more practiced now. You might find yourself smiling at the thought of a pharaoh standing in a golden palace, squinting into a silver mirror, and complaining that his left eye doesn't match his right. Even the most powerful people in the world are subject to the laws of geometry and the occasional shaky thumb. You take a slow breath, steadying your nerves, and begin the first stroke on the other side. The room is very quiet now, the only sound being the soft, rhythmic rustle of your breathing. You feel the weight of the bronze mirror in your other hand, a steady anchor as you work. The second eye goes more quickly than the first, the muscle memory guiding your hand. The cool touch of the Kohl is familiar now, a comforting sensation that tells you your ritual is nearly complete. You draw the final flick, matching the angle and the length of the first one. You lean back, letting out the breath you didn't realize you were holding. You look at yourself in the mirror, and for a moment, you don't just see a person getting ready for work. You see a reflection that looks like the statues in the temples, strong, balanced, and timeless. The green malachite is next. You take a different applicator, one with a slightly broader tip. The green paste is vibrant and lush, a stark contrast to the dark gray. You apply a thin band of this color just above the black line on your upper lid. It adds a layer of depth and cooling relief. The malachite feels different on the skin, It has a slightly more grassy texture, even though you ground it into a fine powder. As you blend it in, you think about the goddess Hathor and the joy she represents. Wearing her color is a way of inviting a little bit of that joy into your day. You are not just preparing for labor. You are preparing for a life lived in the presence of the divine. The green and the black together create a look that is both beautiful and functional, a perfect harmony of elements. If you think your morning routine is a chore, just remember that you aren't doing this in a drafty tent in the middle of a sandstorm. You are in the comfort of your home, with the morning light providing everything you need. You take a piece of soft linen and gently dab the edges of the lines, cleaning up any tiny smudges. You have to be careful not to wipe away the oil, which is currently soaking into your skin and keeping it supple. The kohl will stay in place for hours, even in the heat of the afternoon. It is a durable beauty, one that can withstand the rigors of life in the sun. You feel a sense of pride in your work. You have created something beautiful on your own face, using nothing but the minerals of the land and the skill of your hands. You look at the leftover paste on your palette. There is still a good amount left, which you will save for later. You might need a touch-up in the evening if you go out to visit a friend or attend a local festival. You wrap the palette in a clean cloth, keeping it safe from the dust. The ritual of application is a form of meditation. For the last 20 minutes, you haven't thought about anything but the line and the color. Your mind feels clear and rested, much like the feeling you get after a long, dreamless sleep. This is the hidden power of the bedtime history script. It carries you through the ritual until you are so relaxed that the transition to sleep becomes inevitable. But for now in the story, you are awake and ready. You take one final look in the bronze mirror. The transformation is complete. Your eyes are no longer just parts of your face. They are bold statements of identity and protection. You see the shimmer of the galena and the glow of the malachite, and you feel a deep connection to the history of your people. This is the same look that your ancestors wore when they built the great monuments, and it is the same look that your children will wear in the years to come. It is a thread of continuity that runs through the centuries, a dark, beautiful line that connects the past to the present. You set the mirror down on the table, the bronze surface making a soft, solid sound as it touches the wood. The air in the room is warmer now, and you can see the sun hitting the far wall. The day is calling to you, but you feel no rush. You have taken the time to do things properly. You have honored the gods, protected your body, and centered your mind. You feel a sense of balance of ma'at that will stay with you throughout the hours ahead. You stand up from your mat, feeling the stretch in your muscles. Your body feels light and energized. You are ready to step out the door and into the world. But before you go, you take a moment to simply stand in the silence, enjoying the feeling of the cool kohl on your eyes and the scent of the frankincense in the air. You might think that such an elaborate routine would be exhausting, but it is actually the opposite. It is a way of gathering your strength, of building a sanctuary around yourself before you have to interact with others. In a world that is often loud and demanding, these quiet moments of self-care are precious. They are the foundation of your well-being. You walk toward the doorway. the light outside looking bright and inviting. You don't squint against the glare. Your dark lines are already doing their job, absorbing the light and protecting your vision. You feel like a person of substance, a person who knows their place in the world and is ready to fulfill their role. As you walk, you think about the chemistry of the paint once more. The lead in the Kohl is doing its work, stimulating the production of nitric oxide and helping your body's defenses. It is a strange and beautiful thing that beauty and medicine can be so closely linked. You are wearing a shield that is also an ornament. You feel a sense of gratitude for the knowledge that has been passed down to you. Without it, the desert sun would be a much more formidable enemy. With it, you are a master of your environment, able to thrive in the heat and the dust. The transition from the cool interior to the hot exterior is a familiar sensation. The sun hits your skin with a direct, heavy warmth. You feel the air move against your face, but the Kohl stays perfectly in place. It doesn't run or smudge. You walk with a sense of grace, your eyes framed in their dark, protective masks. You see other people in the street, and you notice that they are also wearing their mourning lines. You see a farmer with a simple, thick application of black, and a woman with a delicate, winged look similar to your own. You share a silent bond with them, a shared understanding of the importance of this ritual. It is a communal language of care and tradition. You find yourself walking toward the river, the scent of the water growing stronger as you get closer. The Nile is the lifeblood of your land, and its presence is always felt. You see the green reeds swaying in the breeze, and the color reminds you of the malachite on your eyelids. Everything in your world is connected. The minerals in the earth, the plants in the river, the gods in the sky, and the paint on your face. It is a beautiful, integrated system that makes you feel at home in the universe. You take a slow, deep breath, savoring the moment of peace. The city is full of life, a vibrant tapestry of sounds and colors. You hear the rhythmic clatter of looms from a weaver's shop and the distant lowing of cattle. The dust from the street rises in small clouds, but you are not bothered by it. Your eyes are protected. You feel a sense of security that allows you to fully engage with the world around you. You are not hiding. You are presenting yourself in your most powerful form. The Kohl is a sign of your presence, a bold statement that you are here. You are ready, and you are protected. You might find yourself thinking about the night to come, about the time when you will return to your home and wash away the day's work. But that is many hours away. For now, there is only the morning and the work that needs to be done. You are focused on the present, on the task at hand. The ritual of the Kohl has prepared you for this focus. It has taught you the value of precision, the importance of patience, and the beauty of tradition. You carry these lessons with you as you move through the city. The sun is climbing higher, and the shadows are getting shorter. The world is becoming a place of brilliant light and sharp contrast. In this environment, your eyes are your most important tool, and you have treated them with the respect they deserve. You feel a sense of confidence that comes from being well prepared. You are not afraid of the heat or the sun. You have built your own shade. You are a part of the landscape, a part of the history, and a part of the eternal cycle of the day. You walk with a steady pace, your feet finding the familiar path through the streets. You feel the weight of your history in every step, and the beauty of your ritual in every blink. The dark lines of Kohl are a constant companion, a silent reminder of your connection to the earth and the gods. You are a person of Egypt, and your face tells the story of your people. It is a story of survival, of beauty, and of a deep, abiding respect for the world around you. You take another deep breath, the air warm and dry, and you feel a sense of profound peace. The ritual of application is over, but its effects will stay with you throughout the day. You are not just wearing makeup, you are wearing a tradition. You are wearing a shield. You are wearing a prayer. And as you walk into the heart of the city, you do so with your eyes wide open, protected by the divine lines of Kohl that you so carefully drew in the quiet light of the morning. The journey continues, and you are ready for whatever it may bring. You look at the horizon, where the sky is a brilliant, pale blue. The sun is a powerful presence, but you can face it without fear. Your ritual has given you the strength you need. You are a creator, a practitioner of an ancient art, and a child of the Nile. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, and you look exactly how you are supposed to look. The world is a place of wonder and mystery, and you are ready to explore it, one protected step at a time. As you step fully into the embrace of the afternoon, the sun feels like a heavy, golden hand resting on your shoulders. The heat in Thebes during the middle of the day is not merely a temperature. It is a physical presence that fills every corner of the city. It bounces off the white limestone of the temples and the pale mud bricks of the houses, creating a world that is almost too bright to look at directly. If you think your phone screen at 3 in the morning is a bit much for your eyes, you have clearly never stood in the middle of a desert civilization at high noon. But as you walk through the dust of the market, you realize that your vision remains clear and sharp. You are not squinting or shading your eyes with your hand. The dark, thick lines of galena you applied so carefully this morning are doing exactly what they were designed to do. They act as a trap for the light, catching the most aggressive rays before they can bounce into your pupils and cause a headache that would last until the stars come out. You find a small patch of shade beneath a woven palm leaf canopy and lean against a cool stone pillar. From here, you watch the world move by in a shimmering haze. You understand that your eye paint is much more than a cosmetic luxury. It is a sophisticated piece of technology. In your world, the concept of a sunglass does not exist in the way people will know it thousands of years from now. Instead, you wear your protection directly on your skin. The dark pigment absorbs the solar energy, creating a visual relief that allows you to see the fine details of the distant hills and the ripples on the surface of the river. It is a functional shield, as vital to your comfort as the linen sandals on your feet. You feel a sense of quiet satisfaction, knowing that while the sun is a god of immense power, you have found a way to walk in his light without being blinded by his glory. Historians still argue whether the medicinal benefits of this coal were the primary reason for its invention, or if the healing properties were just a happy accident of the mineral composition. For you, the answer doesn't really matter because the results are undeniable. In the dusty air of the Nile Valley, where tiny particles of sand and swarms of flies are constant companions, eye infections are a common and painful reality. Yet, Your eyes feel cool and clear. A mainstream historical fact is that the lead-based minerals in your coal, specifically the galena, actually help your skin produce nitric oxide. This tiny molecule is a powerhouse for your immune system, helping to fight off the bacteria that would otherwise cause redness, swelling, or worse. You are essentially wearing a slow-release antibiotic on your eyelids every single day. It is a bit like having a 4-star health clinic painted right onto your face. Though the wait times are much shorter and the decor is significantly more stylish. You reach up and very gently touch the skin near your temple, feeling the slight, waxy texture of the coal. It hasn't melted or moved, despite the rising temperature. You think about how strange it would be to live in a world where people didn't know the secrets of the stone and the oil. To you, the idea of walking around with naked eyes seems dangerous, almost irresponsible. It would be like inviting the desert to scratch and irritate your most precious sense. A quirky and somewhat fringe tidbit is that some of your neighbors even apply a thin layer of coal to their infants' eyes. While it looks dramatic to an outsider, it is done out of a deep sense of parental love. They believe the dark lines will strengthen the child's sight and prevent the eye weeping sickness that takes hold in the summer months. You remember your own mother doing this for you, her hands steady and her voice a soft murmur as she applied the healing paste. The magical aspect of your coal is just as real to you as the chemical one. In Egypt, there is no wall between science and spirit. They are two sides of the same golden coin. As you stand in the shade, you feel a sense of being watched, not by people, but by the unseen forces that linger in the shadows and the bright corners of the world. You have heard stories of the evil eye, a curse of jealousy that can be cast by a neighbor who envies your healthy goats or your fine linen tunic. It is the kind of negative energy that can make a person fall ill or cause a streak of bad luck. But your eyes are framed in the sacred pattern of the Wadjet, the eye of Horus. This shape is a powerful protective amulet. By painting your eyes in this specific way, you are creating a magical barrier that reflects malice back to its source. It is like having a spiritual security system that never needs to be plugged in. You smile to yourself, thinking about that one neighbor who always seems to have a comment about the height of your garden reeds. With your coal applied in its bold, soaring flicks, you feel shielded from any wandering glances of envy. You could call it the original "Do Not Disturb" mode, though it looks a lot more elegant than a modern plastic sign on a door. The dark lines tell the world that you are under the protection of the gods, that your health is guarded, and that your spirit is balanced. This sense of security allows you to move through the busy streets with a relaxed posture. Your shoulders are down, your breathing is slow, and you feel a deep sense of peace, even in the middle of a crowded city. The ritual you performed this morning is the foundation of this calm. The heat seems to pulse in time, with the distant sound of a drum from a nearby temple. You watch a group of laborers hauling a large block of stone toward a construction site. They are all wearing coal, their faces marked with thick, practical bands of gray. Even through their sweat, the paint stays. You realize that this shared ritual creates a bond between everyone you see. Whether they are kings or stone cutters, they all rely on the same minerals to survive the day. It is a universal language of the land. You take a sip of water from a small clay jug, the liquid cool and tasting slightly of the earth. As you drink, you reflect on how the kohl also helps to keep the skin around your eyes from cracking in the dry wind. The fats and oils you mixed into the powder act as a rich emollient, preserving the youthfulness of your skin against the aging power of the sun. If you think your current skincare routine is complicated with its serums and toners, imagine having to mine your own ingredients and balance the lead content just to avoid a sunburned retina. It is a labor of love and necessity. You find yourself drifting into a light daydream, the rhythmic sounds of the market turning into a background hum that makes you feel even sleepier. The heavy scent of the frankincense in your kohl is still there, a faint whisper, every time you move your head. It reminds you that you are a sacred vessel, a being made of both clay and spirit, and that taking care of your body is a form of worship. The sun continues its slow journey across the sky, but you are not bothered by its progress. You have all the protection you need. You think about the deep blue of the lapis lazuli that the very wealthy use in their jewelry, and how sometimes that color is mimicked in the most expensive eye paints. While your galena is a more humble gray, it has a dignity of its own. It is the color of the transition between day and night, the twilight shade that brings relief to the world. You feel a connection to the earth beneath your feet, knowing that the very minerals on your face came from deep within the mountains. It is a grounding thought. You are wearing the bones of the earth to protect the windows of your soul. This realization brings a sense of harmony to your mind, making the bustling world around you feel like a beautiful, choreographed dance rather than a chaotic mess. As the afternoon begins to lean toward evening, the light turns a deeper shade of orange. The glare is less aggressive now, but the heat remains. You decide it is time to move on from your shaded pillar. You walk with a slow, purposeful gait, your eyes scanning the stalls of the market. You see piles of bright spices, stacks of fresh papyrus, and rows of gleaming copper bowls. Everything looks more vivid, more defined, because your eyes are not tired. The kohl has prevented the strain that usually comes with a day spent outdoors. You feel as though you could walk for miles without feeling the need to close your eyes and rest. This endurance is another gift of the ritual, a quiet strength that carries you through the long hours of the Egyptian day. You pass a small shrine dedicated to Bez, the dwarf god who protects households and mothers. You offer a silent nod of respect. You feel that Bez would appreciate the practical magic of your eye paint. He is a god of the everyday, the one who looks after the small details of life to ensure that the big things stay in balance. Your eye ritual is exactly that, a small detail that ensures the balance of your health and your spirit. You feel a sense of belonging in this world of symbols and minerals. Every action has a meaning, and every meaning is a thread in the great tapestry of Ma'at. You are a single thread, but you are a strong one, reinforced by the traditions of your ancestors. The dust in the air catches the low light, turning the street into a corridor of golden haze. You see a cat sitting on a wall, its eyes naturally rimmed with black fur that looks remarkably like your own kohl. You've always admired the way cats seem to possess a natural wisdom and a permanent state of calm. Perhaps that is why your people hold them in such high regard. By painting your eyes, You are capturing a bit of that feline grace, that predatory focus that allows a cat to see what others miss. You feel alert, your senses sharpened by the cooling effect of the malachite and the steadying presence of the galena. You are not just a passenger in your life. You are the navigator, seeing the path clearly before you. You might find yourself wondering if the people of the future will still understand the power of the dark line. Will they know that it was once a medicine, a shield, and a prayer? You hope they do. You hope they don't just see it as a way to look pretty for a party. But even if they forget the science and the magic, the feeling will remain. The feeling of being protected, of being defined, and of being ready to face the world. That is a timeless human experience. You take a deep breath, the air smelling of dry grain and the distant river. You feel a wave of gratitude for the stones, the oils, and the hands that taught you how to blend them. As you walk, the rhythm of your footsteps on the packed earth becomes a soothing cadence. You are moving toward the end of your day's tasks, but you are not rushing. There is a sense of eternal time. In Egypt, a feeling that today is just one of many identical days that have stretched back to the beginning of the world and will stretch forward to its end. This perspective makes your small worries feel insignificant. In the grand scale of the river and the sun, a smudged line of coal or a late breakfast doesn't matter much. What matters is the ritual, the continuity, and the care you take with yourself and your community. You feel a sense of profound relaxation, as if you are being carried along by the current of the Nile itself. The shadows are stretching long across the ground now, reaching out like dark fingers toward the east. The sky is beginning to blush with shades of pink and violet. This is your favorite time of day, when the harshness of the sun finally softens and the world prepares for rest. You feel the coal on your eyes as a gentle weight, a reminder of the day's journey. It has served you well. It has been your constant companion through the heat and the light. You think about the cooling water you will use later to wash your face, and how the oil will leave your skin feeling soft and refreshed. But for now, you simply enjoy the fading warmth of the sun and the clear, effortless vision that your ritual has provided. You encounter a group of children playing a game with small stones in the dirt. One of them looks up at you, and you see the perfect, dark circles painted around his eyes. He gives you a bright, confident smile before returning to his game. In that moment, you see the cycle of life continuing. He is protected, just as you are. He is learning the ways of his people, just as you did. The ritual is safe in his hands. You feel a sense of peace knowing that the secrets of the coal will be passed down, generation after generation, as long as the sun rises over the desert and the river flows to the sea. You reach the edge of the market where the city begins to thin out into the gardens and the palm groves. The air is cooler here, the trees exhaling a moist, green breath that feels like a blessing. You find a spot to sit on a low wall, looking out toward the horizon. The pyramids in the distance are silhouettes against the glowing sky, eternal and unchanging. You feel a sense of smallness, but it is not a lonely feeling. It is the feeling of being a small part of a very grand and beautiful design. You lean back, closing your eyes for a moment. Even with your lids shut, you can feel the protective presence of the coal. It is a part of you now, a layer of identity that you have earned through your morning labor. If you think your day was long, just remember that the sun god Ra has to fight a giant chaos serpent every single night just to make sure the morning happens. Compared to that, your day has been quite peaceful. You take a slow, deep breath, letting the tranquility of the evening sink into your bones. Your eyes are rested, your mind is calm, and your spirit is full. You have navigated the magic and the medicine of the day, and you have come through it with a sense of grace. The dark lines on your face are the evidence of your success. You open your eyes again and watch as the first star appears in the darkening sky. It is a tiny prick of light, a promise of the night to come. You feel a sense of readiness for the rest. The ritual of the day is nearly done, and the ritual of the night is about to begin. You will return to your home, share a meal with your family, and then drift into a deep, protected sleep. And tomorrow, when the first light of the sun touches the mud walls of your room, you will reach for your stone palette and start the process all over again. It is a beautiful cycle, a rhythmic dance of stone, oil, and light that defines your life and the life of your people. You stand up, your movement slow and easy, and begin the walk home under the watching eyes of the gods and the protective veil of your own dark Kohl. As the sun begins its final descent behind the limestone cliffs of the west, the sky transforms into a canvas of bruised purples and deep, burnt oranges. You find yourself walking toward the more affluent districts of the city, where the mud, brick walls are taller, and the scent of expensive incense hangs heavy in the air. This is the area of the great villas and the sprawling palace complexes, where the ritual of the eye reaches its most decadent and refined form. In the humble quarters, Kohl is a tool of survival and a mark of daily devotion. But here, in the shadow of the golden throne, it is a statement of divine right and celestial beauty. You notice the people passing you carry themselves with a different kind of stillness, a grace that suggests they have never had to grind their own minerals or worry about the price of a jar of castor oil. Their eyes are not just protected, they are masterpieces of art, framed in lines so precise they look as though they were drawn by the hand of a master scribe. In the golden palaces of the Pharaoh, the application of eye paint is a ceremony of its own, involving specialized servants whose only job is to ensure the royal gaze is perfect. These beauty experts are the ancient world's equivalent of a high-end glam squad, except if they mess up the wing of the eyeliner, they might have to answer to a living god rather than just getting a bad review on the internet. Historians still argue whether the pharaoh's specific style of eyeliner was meant to denote a specific deity he was channeling that day, or if it was simply a way to make his eyes visible to the crowds from the high balcony of appearances. When the king steps out to greet his people, his eyes must be the first thing they see. Bold, dark, and shimmering with the power of the sun, the lines are often extended much further than yours, reaching almost to the hairline, creating a mask that separates the divine ruler from the ordinary mortals below. A mainstream historical fact is that the royalty of Egypt often had their makeup kits buried with them, ensuring they would look their best for the journey through the underworld. These kits were not the simple stone palettes and wooden sticks you use. They were exquisite boxes of ebony and ivory, containing jars made of gold and silver. Inside, The coal was often mixed with the most expensive resins and oils available in the known world. You imagine the royal storehouses filled with bags of galena from the mountains of the north and malachite from the deep mines of the south, all reserved for the use of the palace. It is a level of abundance that is hard to wrap your head around, like having a lifetime supply of the world's most expensive cream just sitting in a cupboard. You walk past a high wall, catching a glimpse of a garden where a nobleman sits near a pool, his eyes reflecting the evening light in two perfect, dark orbits of protection. A quirky and somewhat fringe tidbit is that some researchers believe the heavy application of Kohl among the elite was also a way to signal their exemption from physical labor. If your eyeliner is 3 inches long and decorated with gold dust, you probably aren't spending your afternoon hauling water from the river or tilling a field of flax. It is the ultimate status update, written in pigment rather than pixels. Yet, despite the luxury, the core of the ritual remains the same. Even the queen, sitting in her cool, tiled chamber, feels the same soothing chill of the malachite as it touches her skin. She relies on the same chemical defense against the desert flies as the simplest farmer. In the eyes of the Kohl, everyone is subject to the same sun and the same gods. This thought brings a small smile to your face as you move through the deepening shadows. You pause for a moment near a large temple pylon, watching the flickering light of the torches as they are lit for the evening prayers. The orange flames dance in the dark, reflecting off the polished bronze mirrors held by the temple attendants. You think about the opening of the mouth ceremony where Kohl is used on the statues of the gods to bring them to life. In your culture, an eye that is not painted is an eye that is not truly awake. By applying the dark lines, you are inviting the spirit to inhabit the body, turning a physical form into a living soul. It is a powerful concept, one that makes your morning routine feel like a daily act of resurrection. You aren't just getting ready for work, you are waking up your divinity. If you think your morning double shot of espresso is what wakes you up, try imagining that you aren't actually alive until you've finished your eyeliner. The transition from the heat of the day to the cool of the evening is particularly beautiful in this part of the city. The stone floors of the palaces have been splashed with water to keep the air fresh, and the scent of blooming jasmine fills the walkways. You feel a sense of luxury just by being in proximity to such order and beauty. You adjust the linen of your tunic, feeling the way the fabric has softened over the hours. Your own Kohl is still holding strong, though it has settled into your skin, becoming a part of your natural shadow. You look at a passing chariot, the official inside wearing a look of intense focus, his eyes framed in thick, authoritative bands of charcoal gray. It is a look of leadership, of someone who sees the hidden truths of the world. You realize that in Egypt, the eyes are never just for seeing, they are for commanding. Historians still argue whether the blue-toned Kohl found in some royal tombs was a separate fashion trend, or if it was simply a byproduct of the galena aging over thousands of years. But in the torchlight of the palace district, you could swear you see hints of deep cobalt and midnight blue in the eyes of the passing courtiers. It is a color of the deep sky, of the home of the stars. It makes the wearer look as though they are peering out from a different realm. You find yourself feeling a bit sleepy, as the rhythmic chanting from the temple begins to drift over the walls. The sound is a low, vibrating hum that seems to resonate in your chest. It matches the steady, calm pulse of your own heart, a reminder that you are a part of this living, breathing civilization. You continue your walk, leaving the grand palaces behind and heading back toward the more familiar streets of your neighborhood. The contrast is sharp, but not jarring. The luxury of the pharaoh is just a more intense version of the life you live. The materials are more expensive, the lines are longer, and the mirrors are shinier, but the intent is identical. You are all children of the same river, seeking the same protection from the same sun. Remember that time you accidentally used too much oil in your mix and spent the whole day looking like you were crying black tears. Even the palace beauty experts probably had those days, frantically dabbing at a royal cheek with a piece of fine silk while the pharaoh grew impatient. It's a comforting thought that humanity remains messy, even in the middle of a golden age. The evening air is soft now, brushing against your face like a silk veil. You feel the weight of the day's history in your limbs, a pleasant tiredness that signals the approaching time for rest. You think about the palettes you saw in the market today, carved into the shapes of animals. Frogs for fertility, lions for strength, and the ever-present fish for the abundance of the Nile. Each one is a small prayer, a physical manifestation of a wish. Your own fish-shaped palette is waiting for you at home, sitting on your table in the dark. It is a humble object, but it holds the power of your daily transformation. You feel a deep affection for your tools, the quiet companions of your morning and evening. As you pass a small stall selling fried fish and honey cakes, the smell makes your stomach growl. You realize you haven't eaten since the sun was high. You buy a small cake, the honey sweet and sticky on your fingers. As you eat, you watch a mother sitting on a doorstep, carefully reapplying Kohl to her daughter's eyes before they go inside for the night. The girl sits perfectly still, her eyes wide with a mix of concentration and trust. It is a scene that has played out millions of times across the centuries. It is the transmission of culture in its most intimate form. The mother isn't giving a lecture on history, she is simply painting a line. But in that line, she is giving her daughter the tools to survive the sun, the spirit to face the world, and the identity of her people. The street is becoming quieter as families retreat into their homes for the evening meal. The occasional bark of a dog or the sound of a closing door are the only interruptions to the stillness. You feel a sense of security that is hard to describe. It is the feeling of being in a place where everything has a purpose and everything is in its right place. The Ma'at is strong tonight. The stars are beginning to fill the sky, their light pale and distant compared to the fire of the sun. You look up and think about the sky goddess Nut, whose body is the heavens. They say the stars are the jewels on her skin. You wonder if she, too, wears Kohl to frame her eternal eyes as she watches over the land of Egypt. You reach the corner of your street, the familiar silhouette of your home appearing through the twilight. The mud walls are still warm from the day's heat, radiating a gentle glow that feels like a hug. You think about the pharaoh again, sitting in his palace of gold and lapis lazuli. He is likely preparing for his own evening rituals, perhaps being bathed in scented water and having his eyes refreshed for a night of statecraft or celebration. Your lives are worlds apart, yet you are connected by the very dust on your faces. You are both participants in the great Egyptian story, a story written in the dark, protective ink of the earth. You feel a sense of dignity in this realization. You are not just a commoner, you are a person of the Nile, a bearer of the sacred mark. The transition to the final part of your day is beginning. You step through your doorway, the interior of your house smelling of dried herbs and the faint, lingering scent of the morning's frankincense. The room is dim, the only light coming from the moon as it begins to rise over the city. You move through the space with ease, your body knowing the location of every jar and stool. You reach for a small oil lamp, the clay Kohl in your hand. You light the wick, and the small flame casts long, dancing shadows against the white walls. In the mirror, your eyes look back at you, still framed in their dark, protective lines. They look tired but content. The Kohl has done its job. It has seen you through the glare, the dust, and the social dances of the city. You take a moment to look at your palette one last time before you prepare to wash. The leftover paste has dried slightly, looking like a piece of dark, shimmering stone. You feel a sense of gratitude for the minerals, the galena and the malachite, that have given up their form to protect yours. It is a small sacrifice of the earth, but one that makes your life possible. You think about the miners again, the men who pull these treasures from the ground. You hope they are resting now, perhaps sitting around a fire in the desert, their own eyes painted against the night wind. You are all part of a great, interconnected web of labor and ritual. If you think your evening skincare routine is just about removing makeup, you are missing the point. In your world, washing away the Kohl is also a ritual of transition. You are letting go of the day's armor, preparing your soul for the journey into the world of dreams. You take a bowl of clean water and a piece of soft linen. You feel the cool liquid against your skin, a refreshing shock that wakes you up just enough to appreciate the coming sleep. You are careful and gentle. You don't want to scrub at your skin, you want to invite the paint to leave. The oil makes it easy, the dark pigment melting into the water until the bowl looks like a mirror of the night sky. As the lines vanish, your face feels lighter, but also more vulnerable. It is the feeling of taking off a heavy coat on a winter evening. You see your naked eyes in the mirror, and they look soft and human. The mask is gone, and the person beneath is ready for the quiet of the night. You feel a deep sense of relaxation spreading through your body, from the tips of your toes to the corners of your eyes. The ritual is coming to a close, and with it, the day itself. You are ready to drift into the darkness, protected not by paint now, but by the walls of your home and the watchfulness of the gods. The silence of the house is absolute. Even the city outside seems to have held its breath. You feel a sense of profound peace, a connection to the eternal rhythm of the land. You have lived a day in the life of Egypt, a day defined by the sun and the stone. You have played your part in the great dance of Ma'at. And as you prepare to lie down on your bed of woven ropes, you do so with the knowledge that the morning will come, the sun will rise, and the ritual will begin anew. The dark lines will return, the protection will be restored, and you will once again be a person of the light, framed in the divine beauty of the Kohl. You take one last deep breath, the air cool and sweet. You feel the softness of the linen sheets as you settle into your bed. Your eyes are closed, but in your mind, you can still see the bold, soaring lines of the falcon's eye. It is an image of strength and health that stays with you as you drift toward sleep. You are safe. You are protected. You are home. The story of the Kohl is not just a story of makeup. It is a story of how you relate to the world around you. It is a story of care, of tradition, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to find beauty and meaning in the simplest of materials. And with that thought, you let the world fade away, sinking into the deep, dark, and beautiful night of the Nile. The midnight air in Thebes is a living thing, cool and thick with the scent of damp earth and the heavy perfume of night, blooming lotus. You sit on the edge of your bed for a final moment, the flickering light of your small oil lamp casting long, amber shadows that play across the mud, brick walls. The day has been long, a journey through heat, dust, and the golden glare of the sun. But now the world has softened into a deep, velvety blue. Your eyes, though weary, feel remarkably healthy. There is none of the stinging or redness that often comes from a day spent in the wind. You reach for a small, rounded jar made of blue glass, a precious item you keep for the very end of your ritual. This jar contains a cooling balm, a mixture of animal fats, honey, and a hint of crushed copper ore. It is your midnight medicine, designed to soothe the skin and repair any damage the sun might have caused during its long transit across the sky. You dip your finger into the balm, feeling its slick, refreshing texture. You apply it gently to the areas where your Kohl sat just a short while ago. The sensation is like a cool breeze touching your skin. A mainstream historical fact is that the Egyptians were among the first to understand the healing properties of honey and copper, using them as natural antiseptics to keep the delicate skin around the eyes free from inflammation. As you massage the balm into your lids, you think about the incredible foresight of your ancestors. They didn't just want to look powerful, they wanted to endure. You are the beneficiary of thousands of years of trial and error, a living testament to a culture that valued the health of the body as much as the purity of the soul. If you think your evening eye cream is a modern invention, remember that you are currently using a recipe that was perfected before the first stone of the Great Pyramid was even quarried. A quirky and somewhat fringe tidbit is that some ancient dream manuals suggest that applying a special green ointment to the eyes before sleep could help a person see their future in the world of dreams. You haven't added any prophetic herbs to your balm tonight, but the idea is a comforting one. You feel as though your eyes are being prepared for a different kind of vision, the internal sight of the dreamscape. Historians still argue whether these nighttime rituals were purely medicinal or if they were a way to maintain a spiritual connection to the gods of the night, like the moon god Khonsu. To you, the distinction is unnecessary. To care for your eyes is to honor the gift of sight in all its forms, whether it is seeing the path of the river or the path of a dream. You feel a deep, grounding sense of peace as the balm sinks into your skin, leaving a faint, shimmering trail that catches the low light of the lamp. You extinguish the lamp with a gentle breath, and the room is instantly filled with the soft, silver light of the moon. You lie back on your bed, the woven ropes creaking slightly as they adjust to your weight. The linen sheets are cool and fresh, smelling of the sun they soaked up while drying on the roof earlier today. You feel your muscles begin to let go, starting from your toes and moving up through your legs and torso. Your shoulders, which carried the tension of the day's work and the focus of the morning ritual, finally sink into the mattress. You are a person of the Nile, and like the river, you are finding your way to a place of stillness. The world outside is quiet now, the city of Thebes sleeping under the watchful gaze of the stars. You are part of a vast, silent community, all of you resting after the labors of the sun. As you drift closer to sleep, you find yourself thinking back to the very beginning of your day. The sound of the stone muller, the smell of the crushed galena, and the steady movement of your hand as you drew the first dark line. It feels like a lifetime ago, yet it is a part of who you are. You realize that your eyeliner ritual is a bridge that connects your waking life to your resting life. It is the armor you put on to face the world and the medicine you use to recover from it. You could call it the original work, life balance, though it involves a lot more lead and a lot less paperwork. You feel a sense of humor about the complexity of it all, a gentle irony that you spend so much time on something that is ultimately washed away. But then, the sun also sets, and the river also rises and falls. Nothing is permanent, but the ritual makes the transience beautiful. The rhythm of your breathing slows even further, becoming as steady as the flow of the Nile. You think about the great goddess Isis, who protected her son Horus with her magic and her care. You feel a similar sense of protection now, a feeling that you are held in the hands of something much larger than yourself. The darkness is not a scary place. It is a womb, a place of renewal and rest. Your eyes, now clean and treated with the cooling balm, are ready for the long journey through the night. You imagine the sun god Ra traveling in his night boat through the underworld, and you feel a sense of kinship with him. You are both navigating the darkness, waiting for the inevitable return of the light. The Kohl may be gone from your face, but the strength it gave you remains in your spirit. You find yourself imagining the millions of people who will one day look back at your civilization and wonder why you cared so much about a line of black paint. You wish you could tell them that it wasn't just paint. It was a way of saying, "I am here." It was a way of honoring the sun and the earth. It was a way of keeping the world in balance. But for now, you don't need to explain anything to anyone. You only need to rest. The history of your people is written in the stones of the temples and the pigments of your palettes. But it is also written in the quiet, healthy pulse of your own life. You are a living piece of history, a traveler in time, who has found a moment of perfect, scented peace. The last of your thoughts are like autumn leaves falling onto the surface of a still pond. They drift for a moment and then sink slowly into the depths. You are no longer thinking about the price of malachite or the length of a Pharaoh's eyeliner. You are only aware of the coolness of the air, the softness of the bed, and the deep, abiding silence of the night. You are ready to let go, to surrender to the dreams that are waiting for you in the shadows. Your ritual is complete. Your day is done. Your heart is light. The room is now a sanctuary of silver and shadow, a place where time seems to slow to a crawl. You can feel the gentle weight of the night pressing down on you, not as a burden, but as a warm, protective blanket. The sounds of the world have faded to a distant, rhythmic hum. The whisper of the wind through the palms, the soft lap of the river against the bank, the quiet breath of the city. You are safe. You are cared for. You are a part of the eternal story of the land of the sun. As you drift further into the embrace of sleep, the images of the day begin to blur into soft, glowing colors. The vibrant green of the malachite, the shimmering gray of the galena, and the golden light of the Egyptian afternoon all blend together into a peaceful, radiant haze. Your breathing is now so slow and deep that it feels like the very earth is breathing with you. There is no rush, no tomorrow, only this perfect, quiet moment of rest. You feel a sense of profound connection to everyone who has ever lived along the banks of the Nile, a great chain of humans who have all found their way to this same stillness. You are a link in that chain, a precious and essential part of the whole. Let your eyelids grow heavy, let your mind become a calm, dark pool, and let the peace of the ancient world carry you away. The stars are watching, the gods are near, and the night is yours.